Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulihil Kareem. So inshallah, today I want to discuss with you. We're going through a chapter, the next chapter in this book of Hayatus Salaf Bain al-Qawli wal-Amal is something called Amal, with Hamza, not Ain Amal, but Amal, hope. It kind of links in what I was saying last week regarding keeping hopes, aspirations, aims, targets, ambition. So he says a very interesting thing, which our mind will probably not go to, generally speaking. He says here, for example, Mufaddal ibn Fudala says that he once had this wish. He says, I made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I don't want to have any hopes or any whims and any fancies in this dunya or nothing, no aspirations. So he said, that kind of happened to me. And then I just falam yasbir alay. He cannot do sabr on this because there's no purpose of life. So even though, yes, our ultimate goal, our ultimate aim, our ultimate ambition is the hereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put into our lives, into our human nature, the dunya. That's why the malaika, they said they could see that. When they saw Jannah and Jahannam, they said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that nobody will go into this because Jannah is so difficult to acquire, it's so difficult, so hard. And Jahannam, everybody go to Jahannam because human nature is such that they will want to go towards these things. They can see. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, that, I have created. That's why it says hadith, Al-Jannatu huffat bil makarih. That there's difficult things with Jannah. I mean, it's not easy. So our natural inclination is to do certain things. Allah has made our life like such so that we can earn, we can progress, civilization can develop. And we'll not always have this kind of perfect life. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, sometimes they had this thought and the Prophet explained to them. The very famous hadith you're all aware of probably is that one companion by the name of Hanzala radiallahu anhu, he came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam after a long prelude to this incident, and he said that, when we are with you, we feel very different. But when we go back to our family, to our work, we kind of forget the hereafter. We don't. So the Prophet said that, sa'atan fa sa'atan. It won't always happen like this. As long as your ultimate goal, you don't sacrifice your religion and your deen for the dunya, that's fine. You can never always remain in a state where you have the ultimate, always. If you had that, you would never be able to function. And that's why he says here, I'm not saying this. If I say this, somebody will call me a kafir probably. But this is from Hasan al-Basri rahmatullah alayhi, from Ibn Abi Dunya narrates. He says here, that as-sahwu wal-amalu ni'matani azimatani ala ibn Adam. That sometimes to forget the hereafter a bit, to have worldly aspirations is a big ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon Bani Adam. Because if we were to imagine somebody passed away in your family, what happened for the whole day, 2 days? Everybody's sad, nobody can function, everybody's a bit, grieved. So imagine, and because death, and also not only for that person, but we have a reality of death in our minds. So everybody's a bit shaken. So imagine we were like this the whole time, our whole lives. We would not be able to function as human beings. Yes? So he's saying here that for us to forget, sometimes they're not. So again, everybody will use the sayings of everybody to suit themselves. That, look, chill out, don't worry about the hereafter. That's not what he's saying here. He's saying here that just generally, we're not going to have this 100% always attention to the hereafter. It's not human nature. We will forget, sahu. And then we will have worldly goals, worldly aspirations. As long as these two things do not reach a level where we become negligent of the hereafter, we forget our salah, we forget our fara'is, we forget the nawafil that we should be doing to get better in the hereafter. If we don't forget those, then any other thing we do in the dunya is part and parcel of life. There's another one at the beginning here, he says here, that Uthman al-Nahdi rahimahullah, he says here, I have reached very old age. And after you get old, I know the reality of the dunya now, everything I know what it is, it's nothing, dunya is nothing. But I still have the same hopes as before. It is how in human nature, it is how we exist. We still want to earn, we still want to, whatever it is. If we never had this, if we were to always 100% remember the angel of death, 100% all the time remember Jahannam, we wouldn't function. Nobody would get married, nobody would go to work, nobody would laugh. The Prophet ﷺ, he would laugh, he would sleep, he had wives, he had children, he would joke. In Adl Mufrad, you hear stories of Sahaba, they're throwing watermelons at each other. Because, yes, what is that? It's in the back of our mind. So if you go on holiday, and you spend a whole holiday crying in the fear of Jahannam, then life's not going to work. You go to visit your family and spend the whole time crying, yes, you're in salah, you're in dua, and the awe of the fear or thought of Jahannam comes to you, the thought of standing for Allah comes to you, crying, that's fine. When you go on a holiday, when you go relaxing, you're having a barbecue, there, then you got a choice. Somebody says, "Here, this is not halal. Doesn't matter." I said, "No. Then you remember, no, I got a son from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Or somebody said, "Hey, let's have some beer as well." I said, "No, I don't do this. It's not my way." You got to eat, and somebody said, this is something. You're on a holiday, and chance to do haram comes up. Then you remember death and hereafter. Say, "No, this is not against my values and morals. Islam does not allow this." Do you understand? A chance to go out and maybe go do something wrong. Say, "No, I'm not going to do this." So that's what we need to always have. That thing that whenever any haram comes to us, any thought of missing the farad comes to us, then we are aware that no, this is, you don't have sahwa then. You don't forget. You don't have, the thought of the Allah and the hereafter comes to you straight away. But then normally our day-to-day lives, we'll have ups and downs. We'll have periods where we're reading Quran and we feel very ecstasy and we remember the hereafter. We cry and we shed tears out of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of the fear of the hereafter. And times will come when we'll just start laughing and joking and as if we don't even remember anything. This is natural. This is sa'atan for sa'atan. So to have this, yes, and Mutarrif ibn Abdullah, he says that if I was to know when I was going to die, I think I would go mad. If I knew my exact day of death, I would go mad. He said, "Walakin Allah manna ala ibadihi bil ghaflati anil maut." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, again, I'm not saying this is the saying of Mutarrif ibn Abdullah. So if I say this, I become a kafir. Why are you teaching your students? But this is they're trying to give a balance. Again, you can take this and then misinterpret it and go and say, "Oh, look, don't worry about death, don't remember death." No, the hadith says, "Akthiru dhikra min hadim al-lazzat al-maut." Things that the things that remove desires and the thing that causes you to stop sins, death. Remember that, and remember death. Remember you have to die. This is something that hadith or anything. But he's saying that you remember it, but it's not going to be always there. And this should not. So he said that it stops you from functioning as a human being. So he says, "Manna Allahu ala ibadihi bi ghaflati anil maut." وَلَوْلَا الْغَفْلَةُ مَا تَهَنَّأُوا بِعَيْشٍ. And had it not been this forgetfulness of death. And I said, forgetfulness meaning is not always in our minds. Does that mean you forget it even when the chance to do sins come about? When the chance to do sins comes, remember that I have to death. إِنْ يَخَافُ اللَّهِ. When the chance to miss a faraz comes, you say, no, I fear death. But when it's normal, then you will forget it. You will eat, you will enjoy, you will do all normal things, all halal things. Because had it not been for this ghafla, no human being will have any good life. You not have a real life. Yes? وَلَا قَامَتْ بَيْنْهُمُ الْأَسْوَاقِ. There will be no markets, there will be no shops, there will be no production. Everybody say, well, let's just wait to die. This is the main thing. This is the hereafter. Let's spend the whole day in ibadah and, so scared of death. Yes? Have you ever seen if somebody's like, somebody's on death row in prison, their life is very, very difficult. They don't know what's happening. They just feel, it's like a depression almost. They almost go mad. There's no purpose to life. And everybody was like this constant fear. World wouldn't run. There would be no aswaq, no market, no production. Civilization wouldn't advance. Nobody would make any progress. Nobody would even try to do anything because of mass depression. So what we have to do is remember death. Death should always be in our minds. Allah, the hereafter should always be in our minds. And when any chance comes to commit a sin, we remember the hereafter. Any chance comes to miss a faraj, we say, no, hereafter, I fear Allah. And then during the day, during our normal day-to-day life, we'll have ups and downs. Sometimes we remember Allah more, sometimes we remember Allah less. Sometimes we have more awareness of death, maybe in salah, maybe in tilawah, maybe we go for hajj, maybe for umrah, maybe during a lecture. But we always have ups and downs. But the lowest ebb is that we always, the lowest point is that whenever a chance to commit a sin, or when a chance comes to miss a farad, that comes, we always remember Allah and death. Then, no, I can't miss this farad. I can't commit this sin. And then the other parts of your day in life, you'll have ups and downs. Sometimes you remember Allah more, you do more tilawah, you do more dhikr, you make more dua. Sometimes you have a bit forgetfulness. It's not conscience in our mind. It's there in the back of our mind, but it's not right at the forefront. Then we carry on as life as normal. And this is how life will work. Yes? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us to understand this, not misinterpret this. And say, Matab said, don't remember death, and just going to have a party. No, that's not what it says. It's a balance between both extremes. Being extremely negligent and being extremely so worried that you don't function as a human being. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to act upon this. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.